Hey everybody, it's Allie and welcome to our Y&R chat for Sunday, March 8th, 2015. The last 3 weeks of Y&R have been so jam-packed, I almost don't know where to start. It's like somebody picked up a copy of the handbook for soap operas and how to write for soap operas, and they've checked off all of the check boxes. Natural disaster check, with fire check, building instability check, random character dies check, miscarriage check, plane crash check, automobile accident check, twin check. Oh my goodness, it's been just so jam-packed. I'm gonna start, I think, by talking about it in the way that it unfolded throughout the week. I am really fascinated. I'm sure, I don't even know if anybody is as fascinated as by this as me, but I am fascinated by what Victor has up his sleeve in regards to Jack. At the beginning of the week, Jack and Victor are still in the hospital together, agreeing that even though they don't like each other, they want to team up to try to help get Phyllis out of these charges and to try to get her free and away from Kelly. And Jack has a moment in his hospital room where he actually calls Paul and Christine in to see him, and he makes a plea to them that Kelly is the crazy one. She's going around insisting to everybody that we slept together. She's off of her rocker. That never happened. And the way Jack was trying to appeal to Paul and Christine to help Phyllis was as sincere as I've ever seen him be. He is saying, I don't believe that Phyllis did this. Kelly is lying. If she's lying about us sleeping together, then she is lying about everything else. And then a scene later, Jack gets released from the hospital. He has this little run-in with Ashley in the hall, and he turns around and admits to Ashley that he knows he slept with Kelly, that he's fully aware of it, and that he is cognitively lying to try to help get Phyllis out of this mess. I could not believe that scene. I'm looking at Jack, I'm looking at the face he's given Ashley, the disrespect that he was given Ashley, and my brain travels back to a comment that I got on YouTube from Have My Cake username. It was last Sunday. I looked at the comment. I'm going to read it. It says, Allie, my guess is that Jack is not Jack. Look carefully. I think there are two Jacks wandering around. It's subtle, but Jack goes from scene to scene with slight changes in his personality and in his wardrobe, even how he talks. It's trippy. Now, I read this comment and I initially thought, no, they're not gonna do a twin thing. We're over that. This is 2015. This is not your grandmother's soap, like I said last week. And then it nagged in the back of my mind, twin. And as I watched Monday's episode, it completely clicked with me that that's exactly what's going on. And throughout the week, I've seen other little rumblings of people mentioning that maybe there's a Jack twin wandering around, and I feel totally confirmed. So with this little nugget of twin information in my brain, I'm watching Monday's show, and we see Jack in the hospital room being Jack and sincere, and the way Jack always is. Then out in the hallway has this confrontation with Ashley. And I'll tell you, the number one first thing I noticed, just 'cause, was that Jack was wearing a vest, or a sweater with a dress shirt underneath of it. And I wasn't even thinking twin at this point in the story. I'm thinking, it's weird to see Jack wearing a sweater. He's not a sweater guy, he's a button-up guy. And something about that wardrobe just kind of jogged me, not even thinking about the twin thing. And then seeing the way Jack was talking to Ashley very disrespectfully and just owning that he's lying and being okay with it. And there was something just in the look in his face that matched the look on Jack's face when he was sleeping with Kelly. Just like he was just going along with it, like he was doing something he didn't really want to do, and there was a disdain there. And for all of the problems that Jack and Ashley have had together, Jack he really hasn't been treating Ashley the way he was treating her there in the hall. Now, flash to the very next scene that we see Jack. He's out of the hospital. He's walking through the front door of the Abbott mansion, full business suit. What's that all about? To me, that is evidence right there. I need no more evidence. I saw it. I saw the sweater vest, and then I saw the suit. You can just wrap this up in a little bow. Victor has hired a Jack twin, a Jack lookalike, to go around and do all these things that Jack would normally do that's going to cause problem in his relationship with Phyllis, going to cause problems all over the place. I mean, everyone from Ashley to Victor to anybody that knows Jack has made comments about how Jack's not acting himself. Go back to Friday's show. Ashley said it. Jack, you're just not acting like yourself. Well, there's a reason for that. Victor has this little conference, yet another, a second in a series of conferences with some mystery person in the confessional, and it's not revealed exactly who it is. And the first time it happened last week, I think it was easy to say, oh, it's Kelly. Victor's just in cahoots with Kelly. But I think we're working on something much deeper, much more sinister here. Don't even get me started. I'll talk about Victor and the whole twin thing when it happens. I shouldn't get too far down that path, but I completely believe it. Victor has done it in the past. He did the exact same thing. He hired a plastic surgeon to make Patty look like Emily, and then go on and parade, and Victor's the king of like the twin thing. I don't know if he hired this guy with plastic surgery. Maybe he got the same plastic surgeon that changed Adam into Gabriel. I don't know. Maybe it's some weird coincidence, like, oh, he just happened to come upon this guy who looks exactly like Jack. I don't know how it's all going to unfold, but go back and watch Monday's episode. Look at that switch in wardrobe. Watch the show next week with that in the back of your mind and tell me that there's not a Jack twin floating around on scene. And as it continues, I will also be complaining about how ridiculous I think that is. Who else could it be? It is not Kelly. Kelly is not capable. Kelly is off her rocker. I don't know what the twist is going to be, but Victor does go to Kelly. He has a little meeting with her, and she seems, I mean, not stupidly agreeing to work with Victor. He's making her promises, and she's a little skeptical, but you can just see that her beans are rattling around in her head, and she's not putting all the pieces together and the implication. The only thing she cares about is Jack, and Victor has promised her that she's gonna get Jack. One of them anyway. Phyllis is also acting like a different person, which is, according to everyone, Jack, including Nikki, everyone except for Christine, of course. There was a nice run-in between Phyllis and Christine at the coffee house this week, where Chris is showing how much she wants to prosecute Phyllis, to put her behind bars for what happened to her, for the specific incident, but remembering what happened to her all of those years ago, running her down with her car. So Chris has got this in the forefront of her mind. Phyllis ran me over with a car, never paid for it. I'm gonna get her. Phyllis is being a little more light. It was kind of interesting to see Phyllis say, oh, learn that Christine was pregnant, and be like, oh, that's, it sort of changed her. There's a little bit of a softening of Phyllis, it seems, but that caused Christine some anger. I tell you, all week I was just waiting for a miscarriage, because the way Christine's blood pressure was up during that confrontation with Phyllis, I thought, that doesn't sound good. And then Nikki decides that she wants to come to bat for Phyllis. She goes to Paul's office, tries to tell him, look, Phyllis seems like a different person. She seems like maybe she really didn't do this thing with Kelly, and I want to vouch for her. Well, Paul and Christine are both hearing this same amount of information, but Paul is bent toward believing Nikki. Christine is not bent toward believing Nikki. And it starts to cause some dissension in Paul and Chris's relationship. Christine feels that Paul is jumping to believe Nikki automatically because they share a son, and that Paul's default position is to protect Nikki when he should be focused on his wife. I'll tell ya, I was watching that scene. I was with Christine. I thought it is rude of Paul to automatically jump to Nikki's defense. And he even went as far as to accuse Christine in front of Nikki of having a prejudice against Phyllis, which is true, but so inappropriate to say in front of somebody else. Paul was not being respectful to Christine, who she is as a wife, who she is as a professional. I thought he was being so wishy-washy toward the whole thing, and it bothered me that she looked bad in front of Nikki. So Paul and Christine have a fight, and she tells him exactly how she feels. You used to trust me. You used to trust my instincts with our relationship and professionally, and look at what you're doing. Look at how you're just defending Nikki. And if you are doing this, then maybe our relationship isn't as strong as I thought it was. She dramatically runs out of the office. Happening at right around the same time, Neil is at the athletic club. He's getting drunk. Lily sees him and tries to cushion the blow a little bit, telling the bartender not to keep serving him, but he's clearly over his limit, more than even somebody who drinks regularly should be drinking. He's off, he's out. Lily is trying to give Neil a little bit of good advice. She's been through Neil's alcoholism in the past. She's lived through it with him, and she's telling him, don't do this. Don't let this drag you down. And if you can't do it for yourself, do it for me. Do it for my family. Do it for the grandchildren. I can't live through this again. Don't do this to me again. And it was a very sincere plea from Lily. Devon walks up and there was just a really great confrontation. Well, it's a confrontation in Neil's mind between Neil and Devon. Devon is trying to cushion the blow a little bit, maybe talk Neil down from the ledge. Devon is saying, Dad, I know that this hurts you. And Neil just snaps right back, no. Read my lips. You are not my son. Don't call me Dad. And it was really deep. It really shows how deep that wound is. It is not something that Neil is just going to shrug off, ever. He goes into this long rant at Devon about really pretty much just unraveling the extent of the relationship, realizing that it wasn't a one-time thing, it was going on. And what was that like, Devon? You know, were you thinking of me and how sorry you were when you were sleeping with her, when you were touching her, when you were making future plans with her, when you were thinking about running away with her? Was I in your mind at all when that was happening? And Devon had a really good comeback line. He said, yeah, you know, remember how you did the same thing to your brother? Slept with his, I don't know, I guess they were fiancé. I don't know if they were married or not, but remember how that happened? Oh, Neil just shut up at that. I mean, people who live in glass houses maybe shouldn't be throwing stones. It was great. It shut Neil up like immediately. He started just getting like, well, yeah, get away from me. I don't want to deal with you. He couldn't handle the truth on that, even though I'm not trying to downplay that it was wrong of Devon and Hillary and that Neil got hardcore played. I just thought it was an interesting point to make. So Neil, and he even got up in Devon's face and everything and said, you want to make this up to me? Why don't you go take your billions, go buy some real expensive alcohol, and go rent a real expensive hotel room and just drink to the bottom of that bottle, and then you'll know what I'm feeling. Then you'll be like your father. It was good. It was really, really strong. Christophe St. John was just really strong in that scene, and I totally enjoyed it. As far too long as that storyline went on, it's the payoff now is just woo all the way downhill. I'm really enjoying it. I also had begun to enjoy what I thought was going to be a nice friendship, nice little camaraderie between Nikki and Neil. Just as Neil is really hitting that bottle and really hitting the bottom, Nikki walks into the athletic club, sees the confrontation that had just happened, or the argument that has just happened, and she comes up to Neil and starts trying to just be nice to him and saying, you know, I was on my way to a meeting. Why don't you come with me? I want you to get better. I don't like seeing you like this. And Neil says, nope, not gonna do it. Nikki says, well, okay, well, how about I just take you home? How about I drive you home? You're obviously drunk. Let's go get in the car. And Neil's, he's fine with that. He's like, okay. And at this point in the story, I'm thinking, this is nice. I like seeing them being friends. They have things in common that I hadn't thought about before. It's a possible friendship that I don't think Nikki and Neil really haven't had a whole lot of interaction over the years, despite the fact that they've been on the show. So, and I like seeing more integration between the characters, so I was happy to see that until Neil and Nikki are in the car. And Neil, he must have had some kind of bright, sober moment where he looks out the window and realizes this is not where, you're not driving me home. This is not my posh neighborhood. This is the rug cleaning district. Or it's downtown. And, you know, he says, what you're doing, you're trying to take me to an AA meeting. That's what you're doing. You're forcing me to go to a meeting. Big mistake, Nikki. It was dumb in the first place. She never should have been that forward with him. She should have been there as a friend, been a sponsor to him, but she certainly, number one poor decision of Nikki's for the week was trying to force Neil to a meeting. He was not having it. He was hard drunk, hard surly. He wasn't going to listen. He was not going to listen that night. He gets all upset at what she's done. He is trying to get out of the car. She won't let him out of the car. He gets all mad at her. He grabs the wheel just as Christine is coming out to her car, getting away from that argument with Paul. What are the odds? What are the odds, and what's the timing? Can you even believe it? Nikki plows the car right into Christine. I don't even think she hit any other cars. She just hit Christine. I could not believe what I was watching. I'm like, I can't stop this roller coaster. It is happening whether I like it or not. The Y&R roller coaster is, whoosh, it is on. Oh no, Christine's face just getting hit. I can't believe it. I'm telling you, every single time you see a scene of characters in the car, it is going to be bad news. It is either it's going to be a car accident, somebody's going to get hit, or that car is going to run out of gas and the person's going to have to get out and seek help, and then something bad is going to happen. There is no reason for Y&R to film in the car scenes unless it's going to be something bad. And what good's gonna happen? I can't think of a single good thing that's ever happened in a car. So as soon as I saw that in the car, I knew something was up, but I never dreamed that Nikki would plow her car into Christine. Ugh. What are the odds? And, I mean, Nikki runs over to the person that she's hit. She is first thinking it's a stranger, then reveals, pulls away the hair and sees that it's Christine. Just at the same time, again, what are the odds, that Paul is coming out kind of chasing after Christine, and he sees, or no, actually, I think he said he got something on the radio that told him there was an accident outside the station or something. So he runs over, though, to see what's going on with this accident, and Nikki's like, I'm so sorry, Paul. He realizes that it's his wife on the ground, and she may very well be fighting for his life, and I'm telling you, I died a little when Paul ran over to her body, realizing that it's her, wanting to cradle her. His voice gets so cracky and sad, and he's just, oh, Christine. It's so good. Doug Davidson is always amazing when he gets the chance to be. Always. I loved him. In the wake of Christine getting hit, Doug Davidson pulled it out. He brought it home. He tied it all together. I was like, yes, yes, yes. He was just excellent. And I mean, his grief in the moment with Christine, his total feeling of betrayal with Nikki. He doesn't even ask questions. He has Nikki arrested. She was driving the car, book her. Book her for suspected DUI. Has her hauled down to the station, no breathalyzer, no nothing. Just forget you, Nikki. Whew. Christine had to go to the hospital. She had to have a surgery. There was, by the way, this just a brief confrontation between, gosh, I just keep using the word confrontation. I need to stop. There was a fight. There was a fight between Victor and Paul in the waiting room area, where Paul accuses Victor, saying, this is all your fault. Nikki was drunk. She ran over my wife, and it always leads back to you and your BS. So Paul lashes out at Victor, and that's when Victor learns that, oh, my wife did what? So Victor heads on down to the station to help Nikki, and Paul, he has to go deal with the aftermath, which unfortunately was that they lost the baby. Christine, she made it out of surgery and she's gonna live, but the baby did not make it. I mean, we had to know that, right? Why? It's so rare that a child actually gets born on YNR. I think it seems more just more common that the child doesn't make it these days. It was so sad. Paul comes in and he has to try to explain to Christine what has happened to her, and the moment where she looked up and looked down and realized that she might have lost the baby, and just begs Paul to just tell me that the baby made it. Just, that's all I want to hear. Just tell me the baby made it. And he can't. He has to say, no, she didn't make it. I don't think they knew that before, did they? So, just a horrible moment. Horrible moment. Great acting. Laura Lee Bell was really good too. I was feeling it. I mean, the makeup looked really good too. She looked the part. The woman looked like she'd been hit by a car, and the emotion matched, and all of the feelings matched. And Christine, having in the forefront of her mind what had happened to her with Phyllis, having just had this argument with her husband about Nikki, she's just, I think, panicked. I think she feels like the world is out to get her, and she immediately says, was it Phyllis? Was Phyllis the one that was driving the car? Is this history repeating itself? She's just had an argument with her. And Paul says, no, I promise you it was not Phyllis. But Christine is still thinking, was it on purpose? Did somebody that I prosecuted just want to run me down? Was I a target? I know this was not an accident. That car came at me. And I mean, Paul, I think, in hearing that, I think he, up until that point, really believed that it was an accident. But hearing Christine explain the way it felt, that the car was coming at her, and even just watching it from a viewer perspective, I mean, all of the accounts afterwards were that Christine ran out into the middle of the road or something, but that's not what I saw at all. There was a obvious swerve. Christine was at her car getting ready to get in. So, I mean, Chris's instinct is correct there, and, Paul was, I think, wise to at least listen to her. I think he feels horrible for not having listened to her in the past, for even having the argument in the first place, you know. So he goes back to the station to question Nikki, who has been at the station with Neil. And both Nikki and Neil had to give their statements to the cops, and Nikki just tells Neil, hey, just say, I was driving, that's it, she ran out into the road, blah, 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 case closed. There's no two ways about it. There's no need to elaborate on the story. Nikki totally takes the blame for Neil without even thinking. I mean, she at the crash site took the blame for Neil. Nikki is now completely carrying the weight of this, and Neil is just off in the background. I mean, I don't know if he's starting to sober up at this point, but realizing what Nikki just did for him, he's going to need a really good night's sleep and then wake up, sober up, and realize what happened and that he needs to take some accountability here, because everyone is blaming Nikki, but she is staying firm on her story. She lies to Victor. She says, no, it's the exact same thing. It's exactly what it said. There's no big deal here. But Neil's still keeping his mouth shut until his dumb, drunk ass decides to go to the hospital where Christine is. Totally inappropriate. So unnecessary. Goes into the room, Christine's trying to rest, she's alone, and Neil starts confessing in a way like his conscience or something. He's starting to, well, no, he's really more just apologizing than confessing. He's, saying, I'm so sorry that this happened to you. And there's, and Christine is insisting it was on purpose. Somebody did this to me on purpose. And Neil is saying, no, Nikki would never hurt you on purpose. Boom! Christine realizes Nikki is the one that ran me over. So those two feelings just collided. Somebody did it on purpose. Nikki was driving the car. Done. Nikki wanted me out of the way so that she could have Paul and that family all to herself, which is kind of paranoid, I suppose. But I was just, she's been through a trauma. She has been through a trauma. The woman tried to get up out of the hospital bed to go to the police station where she knows Paul and Nikki are together, and she tries to get up out of the hospital bed, cords and all, and go to fix the situation. Neil had to stop her and put her back in bed. The nurse tells him, you've done enough, dude. If you want to do something, why don't you leave? What an idiot. What an idiot Neil is this week. He's responsible, and then he goes and fuels that flame. I felt awful for Chris, I really do. She's gonna have a one-track mind. If you think how she was going after Phyllis was harsh, I think she's gonna skewer Nikki. She's gonna want to roast her. I mean, eat her on a stick. It's just, it's gonna be bad. I'm almost kind of wondering if this is the beginning of a dark Chris. I wonder if we're gonna see her teetering. Chris has always been together. That's been her thing. She's been together. And I kind of think maybe we're gonna see dark Chris coming into the mix. It feels like dark Y&R right now, doesn't it? There's just been murder and playing and events and death, and it feels dark right now. And Christine is not alone. Paul is being very dark. Oh my goodness. He goes back to the police station where Nikki is, and he is just on her kind of viciously, really. The results of the breathalyzer come back and show that she wasn't drinking at the time, but Paul's not having it. He's not hearing it. He completely decides to just have Nikki arrested for attempted murder. Not just reckless driving or whatever. He's taken Chris's word as gospel. He's not going to make the same mistake twice. He has Nikki's ass, he wants to have her ass arrested. My goodness. First of all, he's just trying to compensate for everything that happened prior. He feels bad for not trusting Christine and what she had to say before she left, and so arresting Nikki and putting all of this weight on Nikki is his way of easing his own conscience. He even had a sit down with Nikki where she explained very rationally what happened, even though she's lying, and he just lashed out at her. He wants to make Nikki the target. Victor was able to hurry up and get a lawyer and get Nikki out of the arrest. I mean, there really is no attempted murder case against her, so Victor's able to get her released. I don't know why Nikki's lawyer was not Michael Baldwin. Oh yeah, because he's got cancer that we haven't heard about in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. What's up with that? I was just thinking earlier, before any of this happened, I was thinking, where is Michael Baldwin? They started a cancer storyline and we're not following through on it. Of course, then again, it's already dark enough. But I guess probably the big cherry on top of the cake for the whole week was Nikki's final bad decision. One in a series. She decides to do the same thing Neil did to kind of go unload. She goes to the hospital, goes to see Chris. The worst idea she could ever possibly had. She thinks she's going to rationalize with a woman that just lost her child and has just been through surgery. What are you talking about, Nikki? What are you thinking? Christine takes one look at her face, and the hatred, the viciousness that's coming out of Christine's face and eyes is enough to kill right there. Christine just starts screaming, "She killed our baby! She killed our baby! I hate her! I hate her!" It's a really good thing that Dylan was there at the hospital. He kind of ushered apart the two women. I feel bad for Dylan because he's going to be stuck in the middle of all of this, and especially between his two parents. Paul is going to stay resolute in standing by Christine because he's trying to make up for what he didn't do before, and Nikki is going to be insisting that she didn't do anything wrong, yet still covering up and holding a lie, and Dylan is going to have to somehow operate in between both of those things, and I don't know if he'll be instrumental in maybe bringing the truth out. The truth has got to come out. There's a part of me that doesn't fully understand why Nikki has decided to take the rap. I mean, I guess maybe it makes sense, because I think it was a split-second decision to just try to cover up for Neil, and that it was an easy answer, which was, I was driving, it was Chris, blah blah blah, and I think she felt like she had to stick with it after it first came out. I mean, everything happened so quick. If she maybe would have had a little bit of time to think about it, she might not have done the same thing. But now it's, you got to stick with your lie. So she's just trying to go along to get along, I suppose. But I mean, she said something to Neil about him having a family, and so he shouldn't have to suffer for this. But I don't know if that's a good enough reason. I cannot see Neil continuing to keep his mouth shut about this. I mean, he's gonna go home and sober up, realize what he did, and he's going to have to come forward. He cannot be responsible for Christine losing her baby and let, well, even though, I mean, you know, cause and effect, he didn't do it on purpose, but he can't let Nikki take the rap for this. I think it's just going to cause problems for everyone. This whole thing, it's just going to cause problems for everyone. Between Victor and Nikki, I mean, between Paul and Nikki and Dylan just going to be stuck in the middle of this. I want to take a little sidestep from the dark Y&R to say I really enjoyed Dylan and Sharon this week, even more than I thought I would. When Dylan first came onto the show, it seemed like Y&R was sort of testing the waters on what that relationship, even if it's a friendship, would be, and I thought it worked then. And I definitely think it works now. I enjoy their friendship. I'd like to see more of that. I I don't know if it could or should develop into a relationship, but from what I've seen so far with Dylan and Sharon, it makes sort of sense for where Sharon is right now anyway. I mean, I think she and Nick will ultimately get back together, but there are certainly some things that Dylan and Sharon have in common, and Dylan he's just such a kind person. I think he just seems to have a way with Sharon that nobody else does. He handles her, treats her differently than anybody else does, and frankly probably anybody else in her life that she's ever had. I mean, both Nick and Adam to a certain extent were kind of trying to protect Sharon, Adam less so, but there is something about Dylan that just relates to her. He kind of protects her by just connecting in and talking her through whatever is going on in her head. And I don't know, I found it very sweet this week that Sharon had invited Dylan over for a thank you dinner, and he walked in the room. She had wine and pasta getting ready to make it. Like, she had the dinner table set and everything, and reveals that, oh, this is a surprise thank you dinner, and he immediately was realizing that it seemed a little off, that it seemed like he got an awkward vibe out of it. Like, I'm dating Avery, I'm with Avery, like, we're engaged. This seems weird. And Sharon tries to backpedal out of it immediately, saying, oh no, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed. I was not trying to seduce you or something. You've been a really good friend to me, and I wanted to thank you, and if it's awkward, just go ahead and leave. But it's clear that Sharon is reaching out. She's in the dark and reaching out to the one person who has shown her a peek of the light. And I think Dylan realized that. He tried to kind of get out of the dinner, head to the door and be like, you know what, I've actually got some other things, Avery, my fiance, I probably gotta go. But then he looks back and sees Sharon having asserted herself, having put herself out there, only to have been shut down. She starts picking up the plates and putting things away, and it was sad. I mean, there was just a drooped look on her face, and Dylan realizes, she actually does need a friend right now. So he, decided to stay and turn around and have Chinese food with her, and it was just so cute. I'm not saying I don't want him to turn around and like have a hardcore affair or something, because I don't think that's who either of the characters are or where they are at this point in their lives. And I don't want to see Avery get dogged. I do enjoy Dylan and Avery still, but there is just something about Dylan he's just treating Sharon with this compassion that I think she needs right now. The Adam and Billy Chelsea triangle has become also so serious. There was a part of me that thought maybe Adam and Sage moving into the Abbott mansion might give us a little more funniness. Like, maybe it would be more, oh, surprise, Adam saw Chelsea coming out of the shower. Oh, awkward for both of them. But it's real serious. Billy and Chelsea are trying to move into their relationship, but it's clear everybody except Chelsea seems to be able to see that Gabriel has eyes for her. Billy can see it. Sage blurted something out about it last week, and Chelsea tried to confront Gabriel about it, or try to mention it a little bit in order to help him with his relationship, and that sort of backfired, and it got really awkward, and Billy overheard the whole thing, and it's weird. I think that if I were Billy, I would be so uncomfortable with the fact that this man is living in my house. I would never even give him that in. And I think it's kind of obvious that Chelsea is finding herself attracted to him for one way or another. Adam was married to her. He knows what her buttons are. He knows what to say, what to push to attract her to him, and it is working. I think Billy can see it very clearly, and Chelsea is a little bit torn. She's a little bit in between, and Billy decides this week to propose to her. He busts out a big old ring. He gives it to her, and her initial instinct was to say no. She said, no, no, no. You're only doing this because you think Gabriel is interested in me, and I don't want to be engaged to you that way. I want our relationship to be on its, to stand on its own and for itself. And Billy is, of course, able to talk his way out of it, saying how much he really does love Chelsea. He likes the life that they're building together, and she ultimately gives in and accepts his proposal. But there is a part of me that wonders if she's trying to move forward with Billy to kind of cover up her feelings for Gabriel. I don't know. I'm not sure how aware Chelsea really is of what his feelings are, but it's odd because I get the idea that she's torn, because she's wanted Billy for a long time. It was all about Billy before Gabriel came into the picture. So I'm sure she is trying to just ignore and push down anything she might be feeling for him. But he's always there. He's in the same house now, as if living across the hall wasn't enough. So Adam and Sage come home, and Billy has cleverly gotten them out of the house so he can make his proposal. But Gabriel and Sage come home and learn that these two are newly engaged. Adam is not going to have that. He's going to do anything and everything to stop it, up to and including calling it all out and getting Billy thrown in jail. He yet again goes to Jack, who's fresh out of the hospital, and says, you got to stop this. Your brother's engaged to my wife. It can't happen. If you want to save him, then you're going to try to keep them apart, because if not, I'm going to go to the police. I'm going to tell him he shot me, and he's going to go to jail. And I liked Jack's comeback. He said, well, way to go. You're going to end up in a jail cell right next to him. So I'd be real careful throwing around those kind of accusations. But Jack also said, hey, congratulations, though, by the way, you are officially your father's son. You've decided that you want what you want, and you're going to get it no matter who gets hurt in the process. Billy is actually happy for the first time since he lost his daughter that, by the way, you caused. So it was a good scene. It was a good confrontation. A good confrontation between those two. I'm not very creative verbally today, I suppose. So Billy's getting married. He goes to the coffee house, stop for a coffee, and sees Victoria and Stitch there and breaks the news to them. I think it was pretty clear from Victoria's reaction that she felt sad about it. She's there with Stitch planning their lives, but hearing that Billy is moving on struck a little bit of a chord with her, and I think that's natural. I don't know if that means she's still in love with Billy. I mean, what am I talking about? She is still in love with Billy. She's always going to be in love with Billy. She's had to fight against herself to not love him. I think she would rather probably be with Billy. Billy's the one that she loves, but she doesn't feel she can trust Billy. So therefore, we have the situation that we have now. But she had this twinge of regret hearing that he was engaged to Chelsea, and Stitch felt it. He had a scene with Ashley later on where he confessed that I don't feel confident in this relationship with Victoria. I don't think I'm the one. I don't think I love her, but I don't know that she feels the same way about me that she feels about Billy. I don't know if she ever will. So I'm not sure if we're kind of angling maybe towards Stitch and Ashley getting together. I'm not sure. The big development of the week for me was Sage. Sage is seeing all of this going down, and she's tired of it. She's finding herself feeling attracted to Nick. She doesn't want to continue on with this sham. I mean, the second Adam found out that Chelsea was engaged, he lashed out at Sage and said, way to go. You saying anything to Chelsea made them jump into an engagement. Thanks a lot. And there was another scene earlier in the week, I can't remember what they were arguing about, but he kind of grabbed her again or something. And he's aggressive toward her. We've seen him be physically aggressive toward her, and on top of the emotional and the aggression. So Sage is trying to figure out a way out of the situation. Plan did not go, married for money. Plan did not go the way she had wanted it. So she's talking to Nick and saying, I really want to get out of this. And he's planting the seed in her mind that maybe she needs to just get a divorce. He doesn't know the extent of everything that they're lying and covering up with. And you know damn well Sage is going to go to Adam and say, I want out. I want a divorce, and Adam is just going to say, oh yeah, I'll grant you a divorce, but you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to go to Nick, and I'm going to tell him, your new boyfriend, everything. I was not feeling the whole Austin's murder storyline until the end of the week. As the week began, I just don't know how to make heads or tails of any of this. Every instinct in me says the boy is alive, or he had a twin, or something. I don't believe he's dead. I haven't believed he was dead from the minute his body fell out of the armoire. I don't know why, but it's just really hard for me to believe that, yet all of the evidence is there. I haven't seen a body. That's just maybe me and my soap opera viewing. No body, not dead. That's how it goes. No body, not dead. Remember that. That's rule number 1 in soap opera. Oh man, we've gotten a lot more background information on Abby's affair with Austin throughout the course of the week, and I think I would enjoy and appreciate and be able to connect with it more if it had been at all indicated in the past. It's so out of left field that Austin was having this affair with Abby the whole time. I don't know why. I don't know what would compel him to want Abby when he had Summer. Why Abby? What's even so compelling? What is it about Abby? You don't like Summer. You don't like the Summer has money and she spends it on you, but then you go when you want to be with her even richer aunt. Austin always had this vibe about him, like, ugh, you rich people. Well, Abby's the ultimate rich person. She's so opposite of his type. So, and if Wyatt had laid the groundwork of it a little bit here or there, or somehow suggested it, maybe it would have been in my brain more. But it just feels to me like, again, just a plot twist that just, all right, just for the sake of the story, and it's kind of been hard for me to connect with it. We've seen, like, basically Wyatt and they just decided this is what it is. We just decided that Abby was having an affair with Austin, and now we're going to show it to you in flashbacks. No, just trust us. It happened. We'll just show you these flashbacks. So we've seen all these flashbacks about the nature of their relationship and them sitting at the cabin where they apparently had their affair and kind of connecting with one another, and Austin seeming all in on the relationship while Abby is much more hesitant. She's got, frankly, more to lose. But apparently it was an affair that was just happening a lot. It was even happening in public. We were seeing a flashback of Austin and Abby at Crimson Lights where she's totally leaning into him, giving him the goo-goo eyes, even touching his hand, even takes her hand below the table and kind of touches his knee. Really? You were that obvious about it? It doesn't even seem like you were sneaking around if you're willing to be that obvious about it, but it's your niece's husband, and you're in Crimson Lights where everybody goes touching his leg? It doesn't make sense to me. The flashbacks also indicated that Abby, everything we saw toward the beginning of the week was Abby likes him but wants to break it off, knows that it's wrong. Austin, it seems, was ready to leave Summer. We saw this revelation that he made a video on Valentine's Day. He was gonna, like, what? Tell her on, this is another reason he's not dead. He's gonna tell Summer on Valentine's Day through this video that there's something she needs to know. Well, why would you do that in a video? That's absolutely insane to me. The only reason to do that in a video is if you're still alive and you knew that you were gonna fake your own death that night. I don't know. It's perfect. Austin faking his own death is the perfect way out of his relationship with Summer without having to deal with the consequences. Because from the flashbacks that we saw, Austin was totally just ready to leave Summer. He was ready to be done, which, by the way, as a viewer, I didn't see any indication of that ever until the last week of where we saw that Austin's personality change. It just all came out of nowhere. In that Valentine's Day video, which Noah watched with Summer, Noah noticed Kyle in the background looking on upon Austin and Abby carrying on with her touching his hand and leg and everything. So Kyle was there. Kyle ends up confronting Abby about the relationship with Austin now that he's in town on the reg. So he goes to her and he says, I know that you were having an affair, and I was coming to the cabin that night to tell all. And he, Abby kind of says, who have you told? What did you do? It's revealed that Kyle did have a confrontation with Austin that got physical. It was at the coffee house. Basically after Abby left that touchy hand-holdy, Kyle came in the door and he confronted Austin about the fact that he was having this affair, and Kyle ends up punching Austin in the face, and then just like his dad throws a rag at Austin to clean himself up, just like Jack threw that dress at Callie 2 weeks ago. Kyle says, yeah, clean yourself up, tosses him a rag for his bloody nose, which explains why Austin's blood is on the bloody rag that they found in Kyle's closet. It's so convoluted and none of it matters to me because Austin is alive. I'm trying to recap it just for your benefit, but it's just ridiculous. Everybody thinks Kyle did it, whatever, until the bloody rag thing, and then everybody's now thinking maybe Abby did it. It's just whatever. The good thing, the good things about this storyline was the payoff. Summer is attending, Genoa City's, the family has organized a memorial service for dear old Austin. He's in the casket there, and the family is in the pews, and everybody gets to stand up and say a little something about Austin, which I've never ever seen at an actual funeral or visitation or wake ever. Maybe that's just where I'm from, but everybody gets up and they're very brave and they say things about Austin. I loved what Mariah said. I was definitely interested in hearing her, but as Summer is listening to what everyone else is saying, she's having these little flashbacks, little pieces of that night when that punched me. It's just coming back to me, and she remembers seeing an argument where it starts putting pieces. Somebody's arguing saying, "Oh, you can't tell her," and it's Abby's voice, and Kyle's there, and by the time Summer gets up to the podium to give her memorial thing for Austin, she begins to have the full realization of the argument that was happening that night, which was Kyle having come to the Valentine's Day party to tell Summer about Austin's affair with Abby, and Abby is saying, "No, you can't tell her. She's my niece. She doesn't deserve, whatever." Enough of what Abby was saying during the argument started clicking with Summer. She was able to put the pieces together, and the girl, remembers in the middle of her funeral speech, she stops, she looks at Abby and says, "You slept with my husband." Oh man, she was vicious. It was such a good, dramatic moment. I don't know if that was the end of Wednesday's show or Thursday's show or something, but it was so good. And the next episode picked up, and she was just viciously going at Abby like, you slept with my husband. Why didn't you just admit it? You did it. You betrayed me. Why don't you just admit it? I mean, the whole Summer lashing out and talking to Ashley, for crying out loud, Allie, talking to Abby about this was so Phyllis's daughter. For the first time ever, I thought, that girl is giving me Phyllis's daughter. I've never thought she was anything like her mother until that moment when she was just flaming. Everybody talks about Summer being innocent and not really having this experience, and I wonder if now we're going to see that turning point. Maybe everybody starts out innocent, maybe everybody starts out trusting, but then you have that moment in your life, that key moment where somebody you trusted betrayed you, and it changes who you are, it changes your personality, and I wonder if that's what it was. I loved it. I loved it. The Hunter King's voice, just, it was like raspy. Did you notice? I don't know if they had to do many takes of that, but she gave it her all. Her voice seemed blown out, which I believed. I mean, she seemed like the person who's been through the ringer over the past however many days, losing her husband, believing that she did it, not understanding why. Then the whole, having to allow your friends to take the cover up for you, whether or not you wanted it, the questions, everything. I mean, it all culminated in this moment, and the actress was amazing. It was the first time I've seen her since she's been on the show, however long it's been, where I thought, damn, that girl can act. She just raged it. She raged it out, realizing that everyone knew about it. Abby runs away. Abby just gets ready to run out the door. Like, Nick caught her and tried to talk to her about it, but she just runs away. I mean, Abby was stone-faced or sad, I guess, but as Summer's accusing her, Abby's like one single tear coming down her cheek, and then she just runs away, and Summer is left in the room with everybody trying to figure out who knew. Oh, everybody knew. Every single last one of you knew that my husband was cheating on me, and I didn't. Nobody bothered to tell me. So she's just feeling completely betrayed by everyone, including her new BFF, Kyle. Everybody knew. And Summer is now in this moment, beautifully written too. Summer is left in this room with her family, who are just a bunch of cheaters. She realizes that every single person in that room has done the same thing to their loved one that Austin did to her. And she starts grilling on Avery. Why is it, Avery? Why did you cheat? Why don't you tell me about that time you cheated? What were you thinking? She's trying to get into the psychology of what would make someone betray the one that they love. And it was deep and it was dark. I just wonder if we're going to see dark Summer now. It was just beautiful. It was a great tie-in, forcing everyone in the room to take some level of accountability for immoral behavior. It was Summer's innocence lost. Oh, what a thing to find out at your husband's funeral. I think this is going to be good. I'm really happy with this turn of events. Let's forget about the murder. I don't care who did it. He's not dead. I don't care. I like this character twist. I want to see something a little bit different from Summer. I mean, she was like screaming over Austin's casket. She says, I need a moment alone. Everybody leaves, and she's just hunched over his casket, screaming at him and how he betrayed her. Then she goes up to the cabin, where, by the way, everybody else has already congregated. Kevin and Mariah and Noah, and I don't know if Courtney was there, but Abby was there. Abby's the first one up at the cabin. She's crying. That's apparently her place to go. I don't know why you'd go there now, but she's there crying, and all the other gang, the gang shows up. The Scooby-Doo gang shows up, and everybody is hateful of Abby. Of course, this is what she did was awful, and as well, the blame starts to shift onto Abby. Now that it's all in the light that she was having this affair, maybe she was the one that actually killed him. And there was this other thing. The mystery parts of this is just, it's dumb. Abby goes and says, I couldn't have done it. How could I have put his body in the armoire? And she opens up the armoire, and the mirror on the side has written in lipstick, I know what happened here. I mean, that seems to indicate that a girl would do it if it's lipstick, but I saw the previews from next week's show, and Summer's staying there overnight, and I guess, I don't know if it's a nightmare. She mentioned something before she goes to bed about, I just want to get away from the nightmares I'm having, and then the flash for next week's episode, Monday, I assume, has her open up that mirror to look. Kyle has wiped off the "I know what you did," and Austin's standing in the background. So I don't know if they're going to play that off as a murder, or I'm sorry, as a nightmare or whatever it is. I just don't know. I think he's alive. I think he's either alive or he's got a twin. Nothing to me indicates that he's actually dead, and so everything else just seems like a runaround. I am interested in the character development here. Abby leaves the cabin and she goes to the coffee house where she runs into Victoria, who was for some reason not at the visitation, not the funeral for her niece. I mean, Summer needs an aunt that has not slept with her husband, okay? Has Victoria ever cheated? Surely. Has Victoria, well, I guess kind of with Stitch. I don't know, maybe Victoria hasn't had as many affairs as some of the other people in the room, but Victoria sits down and she talks with Abby, and Abby reveals that she really did love Austin. Which again is just, it doesn't seem consistent with everything else we've saw. I don't know, Abby's saying, you know, she didn't want Austin to go back to Summer, but maybe she was just willing to kind of sacrifice her feelings, because everything else we've seen, she was trying to push him back to Summer. And she was willing to just walk away from it, which she should have never done in the first place. It should be giving me a little more from Abby. I would like to see Abby step it up on the emotional level that Summer stepped it up. I want to see that. I want to see Abby in pain. I want to understand how she feels more than a single tear. Am I the only one? There's just not a lot of depth there, no matter what we do. I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see for, I don't know, what is it, a week or two from now when Austin pops up alive. Okay, you guys. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to cut it a little bit short this week, although I don't know how short this ended up being, but I'm having family things that I got to take care of, meeting family dinners that I got to do the next 2 weeks in a row. So I got to, unfortunately, my YNR's chats are going to have to just be a little bit shrunk for this week and next week, but then it'll be back to normal the week after. So I'm going to skip reading comments out loud, but I totally love your comments. I've totally read everything, appreciate everything that you've said, and I want you to keep them coming, because as you can see with the Jack twin thing, I listen to what you say and it affects me. So please feel like you can still go ahead and feedback. You can do that on YouTube, you can do it on Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. You can go to yrchat.com. You can call the voicemail at 309-588-4569. I always enjoy reading reading your comments and hearing your comments. It's always good, and I know you got some opinions. I'm on fire today. I hate to stop talking, but I should. So I love you guys. I'll see you next week. Maybe Austin will be alive. Who knows? Bye.